and welcome to the Temple Mount podcast. My name is Shogun, also known as Ghost, and today we will be continuing our ongoing series of Dungeons and Dragons adventures with Dungeon Master Dude Missile in the realms of Terrinoth setting. And you can find all our past episodes on the Temple Mount podcast, Temple Mount Official on YouTube and BitChute. And if you hear this podcast and you wish to join the game, I recommend you join the Temple Mount Discord server or just send a DM to Dude Missile or myself and we'll get you set up. That being said, welcome everybody. Thank you for joining us again and welcome Dude Missile. How are you, sir?
I'm good, Shogun. I'm excited to finally get back to this. It's been like a week, hasn't it?
I'm not sure how long it's been since our last session exactly, but yes, I am also looking forward to playing again.
So we're introducing a new character into the game today, and if you would like, you can maybe give us some information about your character, Sphinx, or you can save it for when we introduce you properly into the story. But either way, we are gonna start with Hasafet and Hanzo. So if one of you would like to recap what happened last time for the reward of 1 blue on any roll of your choosing.
I mean,
Well, I wrote everything down and promptly lost the notebook that I wrote everything down in. So
last time you gave the summary, my memory is notoriously mixed, but I'd be happy to try and give my recollection from my point of view, if that would be helpful.
No, please.
Okay. So as I recall, we began our adventure in a town where we had left off after our previous quest that we had completed, and we reunified the following morning somewhere outside the Adventurers Guild, where it was explained to me or clarified to me that we were hunting a bounty of a particular outlaw or renegade of some kind, bandit. And not only that, there was a group of experienced adventurers who were also pursuing the same bounty, and therefore we were in a little bit of a race against time to get the bounty before they did. We arranged this, or somewhat advantaged this, by finessing ourselves some horses through a combination of magic and simply stealing them, as I recall. And we traveled some distance until we came to the encampment, such as it was, the palisade. We did some recon. We scouted it out. We came up with a plan, which was that Hasafet would perhaps use some of his magical skills to create what I had initially thought would perhaps be a pyrotechnic spell or fire or something, in order to distract any guards and create some chaos, while I used my ninja stealth skills to climb over the fence and try to find the target, which I did successfully do. However, he turned out to be remarkably difficult to kill, so I hacked away at him with my katana several times without managing to kill him. Meanwhile, Hasafet chose a somewhat more creative magical method and chose to unleash a squalling, gibbering horde of Zechian demons to ransack through the town, creating the distraction. And then, as the bandit attempted to escape me by running away, he encountered Hasafet, who used warp magic to basically badly burn his hands and cause him to drop his weapon. And yet, even without his weapon, he was able to severely wound me by punching me in my armored face with his badly burned hands, and almost killed me that way. I mean, I was at 8 health, so half life approximately. But in the end, we got the job done. I believe I was able to decapitate him, at which point we returned to town, and Hasufet triumphantly presented the head and proved the point that he had indeed gotten the jump on the other adventurers. We also, I think, negotiated some additional payment for me or for both of us. And I believe that was more or less it. Someone can tell me if I forgot any other important details.
No, there was the comedic episode with the man who had literally had a magically induced stroke and had severe third-degree burns all over his hands, managing to nearly beat you to death. And if I recall correctly, Dude Missile, did you write down how much silver we have? Because
You should have been keeping track of that, but I can tell you this.
no, listen, pal. I was keeping track of it, and I have merely misplaced the notebook.
No.
The
Well,
number I
listen.
had in my head was 375 because we
Yes.
started the last session at 125, didn't spend any, and then made 250 apiece on the bounty.
You
And
are
I think
correct.
Hanzo, correct me if I'm wrong, but you may have slightly less because I think you spent some at some point.
Did you?
Right.
Did you?
So
Yeah, I think
on
that.
with it.
Yeah. Okay. So, yeah. I want Shogun and Egg Base to give me a D100. 1D100.
It got a 7, Chief.
Yep, we're just okay. Shogun, you awaken in the guild in the late morning. What do you do? Shogun?
I'm sorry. Yeah, my mic was closed. I believe I was in like a private room. Is that correct? Like
Yes,
a
yes.
private room. Okay.
Yeah.
I will then simply rise, put on or adjust, as the case may be, my armor, which I actually did not remove, but just make sure everything is. Check the position of my swords in their sheaths. Oil my blades and do my quick series of hand mudras and meditations that I do in the morning, and then I will step out into the hall of the Adventurers Guild to see what I may see taking place. And if possible, I will keep an eye out for my comrade or partner in business and adventure, Hasafet.
Okay, so as you sort of leave your room, you see in the sort of general room, it's pretty empty as this is sort of the breakfast has already happened, and everyone is sort of left out to go do their work for the day. Hasafet, you are in your room. What do you do?
So, pardon me. I'm going to make sure I'm drinking water here because I'm going to lose my voice otherwise. But I'm going to do sort of the same thing. Going to come out of rest and sort of recenter, and having just reflected upon the events of the last day, I'm going to understand that there is a significant task ahead of us. And wait, hold on. We don't arise in the guild, Dude Missile.
Yeah, you do.
You forgot.
What,
No, we don't. You forgot the whole part where we ran out and stole the horses and set off on the road. Wait, did we do
no,
that? No, we set off on the road to the next place, didn't we, Shogun?
no,
We
no.
already did that.
You stole the horses to go to the bandit camp.
We stole the horses to go to the place, but I thought we set off on the road to the city. Did we not?
I don't.
My personal memory, which could be wrong, is that we did indeed receive our payment from the clerk or whatever, and then I was offered first aid, which I declined, and then I believe we were given quarters in the Adventurers Guild, and that is where we had left off, if I remember correctly. But
All right, so
perhaps I'm wrong.
I was just openly hallucinating the continuation of our campaign. So I'm going to just get up and reflect on the thing and understand that we have another big thing to accomplish, and that's just fairly intuitive. So then I'm just sort of going to push the door out of the way and walk into this main hall to see what the hell is up.
And you see, like as Hanzo did, that it seems like everyone has left out to go complete whatever contracts they had today. The breakfast has already been served, and yeah, the day has started for the whole guild. Pretty empty.
So breakfast, to clarify, is served or has already been served?
Has already been served.
So there's no breakfast.
I mean, you can go to like the mess hall. They'll give you something like yeah. But it's just like most people have already eaten at this point is what I mean.
All right. So at this point, having realized that nothing is really going on, seeing Hanzo, I'm just going to point in the direction of the mess and say something very simple like hungry, and we're going to see how that goes.
Right. So I will acknowledge Hanzo's appearance in the hallway with a small, respectful bow of recognition, and then I will follow him or walk beside him in the direction that he has indicated to the mess hall, and we'll find a table perhaps that has some food on it, if there is such a thing, or else perhaps we have to ask somebody for some food.
You're gonna have to ask for some food, but yeah, all the tables are free.
All right. So I'm going to return the bow of respect just because we've now been sort of bound in combat together. And I suppose the next move would be to gesture to a seat and then begin to approach whoever the hell is cooking and um, persuade them very politely into making us some food. And I don't know what Hanzo's going to eat, but we're just going to presume that I asked him first. So when he says it, I don't have to walk back over to the table. So Hanzo,
Right.
what would you like to eat?
So my character will sit at one of the indicated tables, and he simply kind of raises his left hand as though to indicate that he is okay or does not need to eat. He gives a gesture of like, I'm good. Just
Yeah,
hold it.
I do think we covered this already.
Mhm.
Yeah. I think the last time I also had a little bit of an inebriation moment at some point. So it's going to be a little touch and go, but fine now, of course. So I'm just going to request something very simple, like, a nice piece of roasted meat, some such, typical D&D shit, turkey leg or some kind.
And the chef, the mess hall cook, he says to you, orders up, chief, and he sort of salutes you, and he goes back into the back a little bit, and he comes out with a plate of some turkey, like a big old turkey haunch, and some bread and a little, like a healthy amount of cheese. And by healthy, I mean physically healthy. It's like a little block of cheese.
Okay. Well, I'm going to thank him, and then I'm going to withdraw a 5 silver coin out of my purse and hold it up in the air, and look him straight in the face, and tell him where we're going. I don't remember the fucking name of the city. Give me the name of the city again, please.
Alvaria.
Oh, Alvaria. Yeah, I got it. Yeah. Um, I'm going to tell him that we're going to Alvaria and that I will pay him this 5 silver piece for any information he can give us on how to get there most efficiently and what we should expect once we arrive.
So he tells you that there is a road that leads directly there. He gives you the sort of the directions. He says like there'll be signposts alongside the as there are branches in the road, and it's simple. You just follow every branch sign that says Alvaria. Keep going in that direction. It's about like you already know. He says it's about a 4-day journey, so make sure to stock up on some rations and travel food. But it's not hard to get there. It's the capital of the country.
Right. But what I'm really paying him for is to tell me sort of where to what to look for, I guess, or something about the place that he might.
Oh, he looks at you and he says, "You ever been there?"
No, my good man, I most certainly have not. I have never been here either.
And he says, "It's quite the strange place. You don't need to keep your wits about you, but try to open your heart, and you will find your way in the city of Alvaria.
All right. Having remarked on how remarkably simple that advice was, and the fact that I knew most of it already, I'm going to then put my 5 silver piece back into my purse and proceed to sit down right in front of him next to Hanzo and eat his entire plate of food that he served me.
And are you watching him? Are you looking at him to see what he does?
Yeah, I'm sitting at the table, staring right at him and eating the entire plate of food that he served me.
He goes and he starts to clean the kitchen.
Yeah, good. As he fucking should. What's he gonna do? Step to me? Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead. Step to me. You see what I did to that dry neck fellow with this fucking samurai here? Um,
So my
how long did
character,
it take you? Yeah, go ahead.
I'm just saying my character has his back to the wall and his eyes towards the door or entrance as he patiently and motionlessly waits for Hanzo to finish his meal.
You keep referring to me by your own name.
I'm sorry. Well, I wait for Hasafet to finish his meal. I apologize.
It's all right. So I'm going to eat my meal very quickly just by sort of levitating it into my mouth. And having been reminded of the need to prepare for our long journey, um, I'm going to turn to Hanzo. Um, hold on. Just as a matter of protocol, should I be describing my character's actions in the third person? Or
If you
should I
yeah,
just say, I turn to,
I,
yeah, whatever. Okay, dialogue.
ideally,
Not,
first
yeah.
person is good, but whichever works. Sometimes it's but ideally, it's first person is always. I mean, you can tell me if you disagree, dude, missile. But yeah, just I do this, I say that,
Okay.
etc.
yeah, that would be best.
Yeah, we'll just. I say to Hanzo, well, we certainly need to stock up on rations for our upcoming journey, and other provisions will be required as well.
And
Do you have
nod,
any
yeah.
specific? Do you have any specific requests for things that you would want to bring on our journey with us?
I nod in the affirmative, and I say, "Why don't I attend to that as best I can while you finish your meal?" And then I will stand and go to the clerk or knock on the desk or whatever I have to do to get the attention of whoever works here, the person perhaps who went to the kitchen.
Okay, and the sort of oh wait, you're knocking at the clerk desk, right? Or are
Yeah,
you okay?
yeah. If we so Hasafet is presumably still finishing his meal. I will go to the same place where he obtained that meal and try to get the attention of the clerk by knocking on
Okay.
the table.
So the chef comes up to the like the half wall where he serves you your food, and he says, "Need anything?"
Yes, I say, indeed, sir. My companion and I are preparing for a journey, and I was wondering if I could purchase from you a few supplies, such as perhaps rations or some basic medical equipment, um, other travel gear, perhaps that might be standard for adventures. Whatever you have available, I have silver with which to pay.
And he says to you that uh a certain degree of equipment is a certain degree of rations and medical supplies is provided for all guild members. It's only extraneous of that amount that you would be required to pay for.
Very well, I appreciate that, and I simply request enough provender for a journey of 4 or 5 days. If you could provide that for us,
And
I
he
would
he
be most appreciative.
he sort of goes off for a couple minutes, and he returns with a sort of a like the stereotypical like sack, like a sort of blanket that's been tied around some supplies, and he sort of hands you this sort of tied together sack. He says, There's some bread in there. There's some pieces. There's some fruit. There's some cheese in there for additional calorie intake. And then he hands to you a small kit with some bandages and some stitches and various sort of basic medical supplies in it.
Neat. Can we go under the presumption that he's handed us 2 bedrolls instead of a single satchel with the supplies in them?
Yeah, sure.
Right.
Okay.
So I will thank.
Because Hanzo put that into premise. So.
Yeah, I will thank him, and I will take the 2 rolls of supplies, resume my seat beside Hasafet, carefully pack one of the rolls into my own backpack, while offering the second one to Hasafet.
And I'm just wrapping up my meal, so I'm gonna just sort of burn all the debris off of my hands, and then
As you finish that meal, you feel sort of extra energized in a way that seems a little bit arcane.
enchanted food served by the chef. Perhaps we should have eaten at the mess hall more frequently. So I'm, gonna pack my bedroll away in my backpack as well, and I'm going to. So Hanzo, I have just recently arrived in this area and brought with me very few possessions. I believe it would behoove us to assess the town briefly for any other source of equipment or provisions which we might patronize
If
before
I
leaving the village.
if I could just let the DM fiat down for a moment, just to let Sphinx know we are about to get you in. We just have to, finish this sort of opening scene. So, go ahead, guys.
Yeah, so the point I'm trying to make is that I think we should leave the guild, and before we try and head out of the city, we should at least check to see if there's some kind of general store or some kind of little mom and pop thing that might be able to sell us some items, or at least that we could look over to see if there are any items we're interested in.
I agree that this would be wise. We do not know precisely how long our journey will be or what we shall encounter, and our silver pouches grow heavy. So let us indeed see if we can find anything of use in this humble town before we depart it. And with that being said, I sling my backpack on my shoulder and stand patiently waiting for whenever we're ready to head out into the city and see if there is indeed a store or blacksmith or general store of some kind we can find.
All right,
Yes.
so,
You,
sorry. Just to buy some karma for the fact that not only did I stiff the guy earlier, but he also gave us provisions. I'm going to bus my plate and tray back to the kitchen and place that 5 silver piece onto it, just because I don't actually want to be a cock.
right.
So I'm going to give that to the chef, and then I'll proceed out the door with Hanzo.
As you sort of place the silver on the table, he sort of gives you like a cheeky smile, and he sort of like with his sort of index fingers, middle finger, making sort of like a half hand salute. He sort of like signals you off, like a good journey to you, sort of vibe.
Well, it was worth the 5 silver to get enchanted food. So yeah, we're gonna walk out of the Adventurers Guild now.
Okay, yeah. So you have already, I believe, one of you saw a general store when you entered. And so yeah, you know where that is. At least as a collective pairing.
Very well. So we shall stride towards the general store, and I don't know if there is any need or mechanic for this, but as we do so, I would just like to use what Musashi called the wide gaze of the warrior to scan all of my surroundings for anything that stands out as a possible threat, people that might be looking at us sideways or paying us undue attention, perhaps following us, or anything else that may not be immediately obvious but may be important. In other words, can I roll some kind of perception check just to deduce if there is indeed anything out of the ordinary occurring here?
Yes, so make a perception check against 1 purple.
Okay, so my perception is 2, so I'm going to roll 2 green dice and 1 purple dice. The result of which I believe is 1 success and 1 advantage.
You're
That's
reason-
correct.
You're pretty certain that there's this is the small town. There's it's sort of in the middle of nowhere, and for the most part, the culture of the town is quite friendly. So you have no reason to believe that anyone's going to do anything to you.
Nor do I see anything unusual that I wouldn't expect to see in this bucolic or rustic place.
So you specifically, Shogun, can't quite identify what it is, but you feel a sort of mystical or sort of holy energy emanating from some direction you can't quite perceive.
So, perceiving for the second time some kind of strange mystical energy and being aware that my compatriot is what I understand to be some form of Shugenja, although his recent magical displays have caused me to question how similar and how different he may actually be from the forms of wizards with which I am familiar. But nevertheless, I am aware that he is steeped in arcane knowledge. And so I turn to him and kind of raise my hand and I say, I sense something out of the ordinary in this area. It does not appear malevolent. Nevertheless, I thought it worth mentioning. For sometimes in my land, those who practice the magic arts have a ability to discern these things that I lack.
So I'm going to nod and raise a finger. And having a career skill in divine and rank 1, I figure since you mentioned holiness, it would probably behoove me to just do some kind of like looking through my fingers or being able to magically discern the presence of this holy energy in the place it was coming from. So can I
Yeah.
roll divine?
Roll divine against a 1 purple. Okay, so the success is going to be that yes, you're able to sort of grok, you're sort of able to perceive that there is some sort of holy place uh off in the distance that some sort of a you sort of figure it's like a temple or some sort of place of prophecy or something along those lines, and it has recently become awoken, thus releasing sort of this divine energy into the immediate surroundings. You also, from the advantage, are able to determine that this awakened holy spot is actually on your direct path to Alvaria. It's in the way you're looking to go.
Oh, neat. How far away is it? Can I just ask you that? Or
Well, I can't really give you an in-game term, but I'll say it's 1 scene away.
So
I
perhaps
see.
you deduce.
So as in it comes before the general store?
It is outside the town.
Yeah.
Okay,
But it's
so we'll do
on-
the general store first.
Yeah.
Very well. So
So I'm going to inform Hanzo that there is some sort of construct or edifice in our path that we need to take to the destination, which has recently begun emanating the holy energy that he had perceived. And then I'm going to point sort of to the general store.
I nod and say it would always be wise to examine such things for, perhaps, although Musashi says that we should respect the gods and the Buddhas, but not depend on their help, it may nevertheless behoove us to see if we can perhaps achieve some kind of a blessing or other benevolent advantage, or simply to satisfy our curiosity. We will investigate this. But I agree with you. First, we shall attend to the business at hand. And I step through the door, I assume, of the general store, and I take a look at what I see inside.
And
So
just briefly, right before we step through this door, I'm going to very cynically observe that not all which appears holy is in fact beneficent. And then I'm going to join Hanzo in the store.
okay.
My character
S-
kind of nods in a indeterminate way in recognition of this statement.
as you sort of enter the general store, you see that the sort of checkout, what in modern times we call like the checkout desk, is actually lower than the average. It's lower than you'd expect, and behind it you actually see a dwarvish woman, sort of manning the store. You see, uh, generally, bunch of mundane items, climbing gear, pocket knives, sort of survival stuff, bed rolls and stuff of that nature. Um, there is what seems to be that you can make out, Hasafet, that there's some sort of, it looks like a tiny hockey puck almost kind of shape, and it seems to be magical, but it's not like a strong magic.
I will approach the desk and say, "Good morrow, good woman, or good day, my friend." And I will ask, "Do you, by any chance, have in your establishment bows and arrows, or alternatively, some kind of throwable knife, shuriken, or hatchet for sale, madame?"
And she says, "Well, if you want a bow, the armory would be a better place to hit up. But we've got some knives you can throw. Or sorry, she says we've got some hatchets."
Some throwing hatchets or some throwable hatchets? I would ask to see them, please. How many do
Uh,
you have?
and she sort of she sort of like looks around her stock and she says, "Well, we got about 5 in stock." Uh,
Can I examine them briefly?
yeah,
Uh,
sure.
do they appear to be of good quality and have a fine edge on them, and a balance and size that would be suitable for throwing if needed?
Yeah, they're quality. They're uh they're not large, so they're easy to throw, but you also can tell that they wouldn't make, you know, you're not going to get through plate with this probably, but they're really
Right.
more so for like you got to cut down a tree
Right.
to make a fire
Understood.
sort of thing.
I will say this appears to be a decent steal. How much silver would it cost to purchase these five blades from you, ma'am?
And she says, "Well, that'll run you about 75 silver."
Very well. Without any dispute or negotiation, I will simply count out 75 silver coins from the leather pouch on my belt, and I will deduce that amount from my character sheet. I will then take the five throwing hatchets and deftly and carefully place them in various parts of my belt and harness. Two, one on my left, one on my right of my belt.
So
Maybe one or
Shogun,
two woven into my
uh
armor somehow.
can you just refresh me on how much damage your sword does?
Yes, my katana says it does damage 3 and critical 2.
Okay, so these hatchets do damage 2. So just not
Okay,
mark that down somewhere.
hatchets damage 2. And do they have some kind of defined range, or should I just put range? Or
Um, I would say short range, which is more than a melee weapon would be like
yeah,
engaged range. You need to be
yeah,
within like arm's reach. These are like short range. You're not gonna chuck these across a whole field.
I
You know?
understand. I have entered hatchets damage 2, range short slash thrown.
Yeah.
Excellent. I look around a little bit further, but then I look to Hasafet as though to assess whether he sees anything here of interest to him, or I ask him. I say, Hasafet, is there anything else here you believe we will need for our adventure?
So, dude, Missile, I'm sorry, I've entirely forgotten. You said there was something I noticed when I walked in.
You sort of notice these like they sort of look like these sort of hockey puck but smaller sort of shaped little tablets that are in sort of a bulk sort of container.
Okay, so I'm going to ask the midget what the tablets are.
And she says, they're oh darling, they're just arcane water purifiers. They utilize magic to make stuff safe to drink. They taste pretty good too. You can kind of drink them like a tea.
Are
So
these?
I'm going to.
Sorry, go ahead.
I said I'm going to groan at the rudimentary form of magic that this is, and then groan again at the fact that they would probably be useful. And I'm going to begrudgingly ask the strange young dwarf with the southern accent if those tablets could be acquired.
She says they're five per tablet, and then she explains that they're good for about a water skin's worth of liquid each.
All right, that means very little to me. How many water skins do we need per day to travel?
I would say you can probably make a water skin, and I will write this down somewhere. You can probably make a water skin last 2 days if you're not like really uh sort of like straining yourself.
So water skin is 2 days. How many tablets does she have for sale?
As many as you could conceivably buy, right?
Okay, so she's got the limitless fucking supply of water purification tablets.
Well, like
Um,
yeah, well no, but I assume you're not going to spend
no,
your
I
whole
uh,
yeah.
no, I know. So what I'm going to do is let's see, 2 days, 5 day journey there. So I'm just going to buy 5 of them for 25. Um, eh, can I know, so like my presence sucks, so negotiation's not really an option. Can I roll coercion, if not to negotiate the price, then to ask her if there are any special magic related items in the back?
Uh so you can so how are you going about trying to negotiate the price? Are you trying to like appeal
No,
to
I'm not really trying to negotiate the price. I want to roll coercion basically to figure out if she has something she's not currently displaying on offer, or some kind of magical item that might be hidden but actually on sale, and convince her to show it to me.
This
uh
is, and I apologize. This is just like helpful, kind of maybe, or not helpful, but advice. So when you do something like roll coercion, you could say, I mean, you understand this, right? But
Hmm.
you can articulate in some way in what way you are coercing or persuading.
Okay. All right. So I'll do that instead, in the spirit of actually trying to play the game correctly.
well, if I could just
Um, Go ahead.
add one thing onto that, like let's say you're trying to convince someone of something, and you come up with an actually like really bulletproof explanation of why they should do this thing. That's going to be a way easier role than like, you know,
Then just
yeah,
saying I'm going
yeah,
to roll that.
yeah.
Um, okay. So I'm going to stand as tall as I possibly can, and as I hand the young lady her 25 silver for these 5 water tablets, I'm going to look at her straight in the eyes with my blue glowingness and say, I'm terribly sorry. I didn't get your name. I'm very new to this area, and it would really help me on the long journey that I have ahead of me if you could assist me by perhaps showing me any sort of magical items you may have stowed away.
And are you wearing your guild patch visibly?
Yes, it's stitched onto my robe. And for the record, I have no interest of hitting on the midget, but I figure it'll work. So,
So yeah, roll coercion against a 2 purple. Give yourself a blue because she can see that you're part of the guild.
okay. Two advantages. So, yeah.
Okay. She says to you, "Oh, hun, we got some stuff in the back, but it's really none of that big city kind of magic. Uh, it's the most useful thing I have back there to offer you would be uh a I'm trying to find what's the word for it's sort of a device that condenses plants into a more calorically available substance.
You mean a juicer?
No, not a juicer. You can cut a bunch of grass and then condense it into a form uh that is digestible by your system, but it's really it's none of that big city fancy magic wand kind of stuff.
So it's a lawnmower with a compactor on it or something.
You can correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm imagining some kind of small metal vesicle or vessel, such as like a jar or something, into which like leaves and branches could be put and somehow transmuted into food. Is that something along the lines of what you're talking about?
Yeah, yes, and
Okay.
Shogun is more so correct. You have to do the lawn mowing yourself with a knife or whatever you have, but
I
it
see. I
it
see.
just sort
So
of
I
yeah.
packed this arcane vessel with herbs and leaves and grasses, and it just kind of makes a food-like substance out of it that'll lead us to not starving to death as long as
Right.
there's vegetation.
It's not going to give you any buffs like the magic enchanted food is, but it'll keep you from dying.
Okay. Well, real quick, how many rations were we actually provided with?
You were provided with enough to get there, not assuming an average amount of extraneous effort, right? So if you guys don't try to get there faster, if you don't work yourself, you should have enough. But
Okay, so we have
if
enough to just like go there.
So
yeah,
what I've written here on my sheet is in my personal gear. I have added Adventurers Guild supply pack, and I have put in there 4 days rations and miscellaneous supplies. Would that be
yes,
fair to say?
yes.
Okay.
Okay. I put 5 because I remember it as being a 5-day journey, but whatever. The idea is basically that
Approximate.
it'll last the length of the journey.
Yeah.
Um, so I'm going to turn to leave and then turn back and ask her if she has a better staff by chance. And I'm going to hold up my rather pathetic one that I started with.
And she says, "Sorry, hun, we don't have much fancy magical equipment here in small old what is the name of this town? Hang on.
This little old town here.
Yeah, this little old town here.
Um,
We don't got many fancy magical accoutrements.
well, a man of my profession would be remiss not to ask, but thank you regardless for your services.
And
Says
before we, sorry, go ahead.
she just says safe travels.
I say thank you, madame or ma'am, whatever the appropriate term is for dwarven female. I think madame implies maybe something wrong otherwise. But anyway,
Shorty,
ma'am, I'll
Shorty.
call it ma'am. Uh, and I will say thank you. It has also occurred to me to ask, do you by any chance have a grappling hook? If you're aware, I'm sure she's aware of what a grappling hook is, like a metal, fish hook-like thing that I can attach to my rope so that I don't have
Hey,
to.
hold on. Did she say there's an armory?
She did
Yes.
say there's an armory, but it occurs to me that a grappling hook might be more of a general store thing, or it may be either or kind of thing. We could definitely check the armory too. But before we
Armor.
leave, there's two more things I want to ask her about here. But yes, I'll also like to have directions to the armory as well. But
Okay.
the first question I have is, do you by any chance have a grappling hook? And I indicate to her my length of silk rope to indicate that I would like something that could attach to this if she happens to have one.
Right. So she smiles at you. She walks in the back. She comes out a moment later. She places a grappling hook on the counter. She says 25 silver.
I nod, silently count out the 25 silver, leaving me with 275 silver. I will add the grappling hook to my inventory, and finally, I will ask her if she has torches and some kind of torches, flint and tinder, and or some kind of flammable pitch or oil substance that could be used to ignite flames.
She says all of the above. What are you looking for? Which which would you like?
Well, I would
Um,
ideally like all of them. I would like flint and tinder. I would like at least 3 torches, and I would like a bottle or container of whatever kind of flammable pitch you have available.
The torches are gonna run you
There-
5 each. A flint and tinder kit will be 3 silver. And the oil will be 10 for a bottle.
So,
That's
not to fuck up your narrative, but don't
Mhm.
I have free utility magic and I can just light shit
Yes.
on fire with my fingers? So.
Yes.
Yes, and that will surely come in handy, but this is all meta conversation here. There may come a situation such as in the last where we separate or go different directions, and I may not always have access to your unlimited free magic.
It's a good
so-
thought.
Yeah,
It's a good
just
thought.
trying to learn from our last little adventure things that might have come in handy in that situation. So
that-
if I understand correctly, you were saying it's going to be 15 total for the 3 torches plus 10 for the pitch, which would be 20. Wait, this is not difficult math. You're saying it's 25 so far, but then I think you also said 3 for the flint and tinder,
Yes.
so that would be 27.
Yes. 28.
It's 28. Now I have to get out a calculator to do basic math. Unless anyone can tell me 75 minus 28 quickly. Hold on, I'll get a calculator.
It's 57. No, 47.
Okay, so that would leave me with 247 gold. Thank you, Hasafet. And finally, I will thank
Is
her
it
again.
47? It's 43.
Okay,
Fuck my life.
that's okay. It's 243. So I have 200. Okay, great. So we have some supplies. I will thank her again for her services and ask her if she can indicate. Ma'am, can you please indicate to
Oh
us
my God.
the direction of the armory, please?
And she
It's
laughs.
47. It's not 43. I was right the first time. What the fuck?
Okay.
I'm gonna go take a nap on the train tracks, folks. I'll be right back.
Don't worry about
So
it. That's okay.
she sort of laughs at you. She points to the window, and you look out the window and you see that the armory is right next to the general store, and it has a big old sign with a sword and a breastplate on it.
Very well. I will nod at her, look at Hasfet briefly to ensure that he is also ready to exit.
And I would just like to say, Sphinx, we're getting you in basically right as they leave the village. So if you can just hold on a bit longer.
Thank you for your patience. Thanks.
No problem, no problem. I've been enjoying it, but also making sure I have water and my supplies that I need personally, meta wise. So that's all been good.
Right.
Good. So I'm going to cross the street, holding the door open for my companion, and head towards the armory quickly. Although I now have essentially everything I need, we might as well see what they have there, just in case. If you agree.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we may as well go scope the armory. So I'm just gonna sort of nod and follow you over there.
Okay. So again, I will open the door, walk through the armory, and to take the measure of the place visually. What kind of equipment is on display? With the practiced eye of a samurai who has some knowledge of the quality of weapons and armor, and just try and assess what is on offer here and the quality of such products.
So you see a bow. You see some crossbows. You see some really dinky looking slings, but they look, they're slings, so they're inherently dinky looking, but they look like quality craftsmanship. The
That's great.
bows, I will say, look a bit unwieldy, shall we say.
And does that mean that they are unusually large or of crude manufacture?
They're just sort of big and clunky, but they look completely usable.
And are these long bows, short bows,
Is just
or
sort of
both,
somewhere
perhaps?
in between. Not quite a long bow, not quite a short bow.
A medium-sized bow.
Yeah.
Very well. Well, although I do have my hatchets, there are certain things that would be difficult to do with a hatchet that would be more easily accomplished with a bow. So, is there a salesperson or attendant available here?
Yeah. So there's a sort of orc man, and he's yeah, he's sort of sitting there. He looks a little bit grumpy, and
All
he
right. When I
yeah.
notice the orc man, my hand briefly and almost unconsciously goes to the hilt of my sword, and then I kind of catch myself and remove it, turning towards him, something that may or may not have been noticed by anybody. And then I greet him and say, "Good day, sir. Uh, I am interested in purchasing one of your bows, as well as some arrows and a quiver, please."
And he he opens up his hand. He says, 250
250 gold.
silver. Yeah.
I ponder this, and then I say, that seems to be an excessive price for the cost of the bow and arrow. Is there perhaps an option I might have that would allow me to negotiate it alternative?
Quick meta thing, just so you know.
No,
Like general gear is significantly always going to be cheaper than actual weapons and armor, because the
understood.
actual weapons and armor have quite a significant uh
Yeah,
statistical increase.
I understand, but the price he's asking for is actually more than my current amount of silver, and I'm not sure I want to spend all my remaining silver necessarily on this bow. So I would like to, I suppose, roll a coercion check, and I will kind of step towards him, not in a threatening way, but getting closer to him and putting kind of my hand, or sort of leaning slightly over the table towards him. And I will say, I think you and I both know that this particular bow is not worth that price. And so I would appreciate if you could offer me a more fair bargain, and not take advantage of humble travelers passing through your town. And then I kind of like crack my
Okay.
knuckles or stretch my knuckles out in a casual but vaguely menacing way.
Roll against a 3 purple.
Yes, orcs are not known for being easily intimidated, I suppose. So, well, that would be 3 on 3. I believe that is not a good roll. One success
You
and four.
succeeded. You
Okay.
succeeded. You succeed. He says he sort of says 150. You give bow. I give you, or you give 150. I give you bow. I give you quiver. You get the fuck out.
I accept this, uh, and choose to ignore the provocation, as it serves no purpose for me to respond to it. And so I will count out 150. Can you tell me how many arrows I have in this quiver? And also,
Um,
just out of curiosity, are they like steel-tipped arrows or?
so don't worry about arrow counting. Like running out of ammo is like a thing you get on a despair, right? So you just have arrows until you get a despair. So
All right, I've put quiver and bow onto my thing here, and 150 from 247 is going to leave me with 93 gold or 97 gold. My mathematics skills, as you see, are not so good. But if I had
It's nine.
247
It's
minus, yeah.
You're subtracting 90 from 147.
Uh, no, I was subtracting. Sorry, I shouldn't have changed this. Can I bring it back? He said it's 150, and I think I had two. What did I have
It's
left? Should I just?
97. I just
Yeah,
used the calculator. It's
thank you.
That's
97.
Okay,
90. Okay, yeah.
so I
Because
have
I
90.
was confused.
Yeah, okay. So I have 97 silver remaining, and I have now also slung this bow and quiver of arrows over my back. And I will indeed Not leave, although he's told me to get the fuck out. However, I will move close to the door and then simply stand there observing and watching Hasafet and the scene in case any further events are to transpire here.
All right. So I want to do this very quickly so that we can get the fuck out of the door and then go pick our new party member up. And so cutting the meta off. I'd like to grok again just to see if there's any sort of enchanted or magically useful items in here that the orc is too stupid to know are actually magically useful or enchanted. So
Yeah.
can I roll Arcana against something?
Yeah, roll it against a 1.
So that's 2 successes, 2 advantages, and a boon. So
Okay, so I'm gonna collectively interpret all that as you take a moment to look across everything that's on the shelves, and you have never been more convinced that you are not in the presence of magic.
God, you suck.
Look, you don't get the cool magical loot till later in the game, egg base. That's how D&D
But
always works.
There's not even like a little sparkly rock on the floor that somebody left there that I could component cast with. Yeah, never mind. All right, fine.
And
So
to be fair, right, and I'm not saying anything, but there could be many situations in which even if you rolled every possible success, the end result might still be that there is no possible way for the thing to happen, right? So
I was just hoping there'd be a little fairy dust on the floor. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But all right. So upon realizing that this is a fairly desolate establishment run by a big smelly ogre, I'm going to notice that Hanzo has stood by the door, and I'm going to just I don't know, make some casual okay, bye bye, just kind of waving my fingers at the orc. Like, see you later, bub, and follow Hanzo out.
So two quick questions. One, do we still have horses, or did we return our horses after we had finished them to the adventurers?
Yeah,
Guild?
that's a good one.
I believe you returned your horses, but you guys are part of the guild and could procure.
No, I think we tied the horses up when we got to the guild.
Right.
Oh, like
I
So
mean,
in the
I think
stable?
so I think the guild probably took care of them for the night, brushed them down and fed them and everything. So
Yeah.
we can just go retrieve our horses.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
And then the final question that I had is, do I still have some kind of dwarven retainer under employment, or has he gone?
He's
his
still
separate way?
here. He's still here.
Do I know where he is? Is he with us?
We can hand wave that you'd be able to find him if you would like
All right.
to.
Well, why don't we hand wave that I had told him to meet us out front of the Adventurers Guild in approximately an hour after breakfast, and that he should keep an eye on our horses until we return.
Okay, yeah, he will be waiting for you now if you guys are going to get your
right.
horses.
So
All right. Can we also hand wave that the Adventurers Guild will provide Gragnar with some sort of little donkey or pony to sit on while we ride, just so I don't have to picture a little midget running after horses at half gallop. Does that work?
I think we can assume he's part of the guild too, right? So they would have provided him with transportation. I think I would say if I could give some more specific lore here, I think it's sort of a take a horse, leave a horse kind of thing. Like if you've got a horse that isn't specifically your amount, right? You know what I'm saying?
There's some available horses for general guild use, in other words.
We don't want to do the Gimli thing where we dwarves are natural sprinters, very dangerous, so for short distances.
Yeah, but they also put Gimli on a pony, didn't they?
They did.
No,
Never
mind.
Yeah.
Okay. So we've established that we have the horses. We've established that we still have Gimli.
Is his name Gimli? Grognir, something like that?
His name's Gragnar.
So I haven't been.
Grognar.
I haven't.
Grognar, right?
Yeah, his name is Grognar.
Yeah, Grognar. It's Shogun. You were saying Gragnar for the entire last session, so I just started saying Gragnar, but it's Grognar.
Yeah.
Grognar. Okay.
Well, it's like grog, right? The alcoholic beverage, grog.
Sure. Grognar.
Right.
Okay. I have an accent.
Yes.
I'm from Rokugawa, so I mispronounce some words.
Okay. Great.
Keep it in canon. There you go.
Wonderful. So I'm confirming. Have I already paid Grognar, or I ask Grognar, have I paid him? Do I need to pay him some further money in advance to accompany? I'm going to address this in first person. So, greetings, my friend Grognar. Hasafet and I are preparing our journey to the nearby city of, and I look to Hasafet,
Alvaria.
Alvaria.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Grognar, we are on our way to the city of Alvaria, and I was wondering if we could retain your services as a Sherpa and assistant on this journey. And if so, how much would you
Do you
require to
require
accompany us?
further?
Yeah.
Do you require further compensation, etc.? Right?
And he says to you, Hanzo, he says, I know you're a bit short on the money right now. But if you could pay me when we get there, that'd be all right by me.
Well, I'm willing to.
Go ahead.
I'm willing to pay you half now and half later, but I'd like to know what your total charge is going to be before we agree on the contract.
And he says, if he could pay me 50 in total, I'd be satisfied with that.
Okay.
All right. So I'm just going to briefly acquire Hanzo's attention. I'm going to look at him, wink, and then I'm going to look at Grognar and say, alternatively, my dear friend, I could offer you half of my share of the spoils.
And he sort of looks a little bit hesitant. He says, and what would that be, friend?
Well, we've already managed to come up with almost 400 gold apiece between the two of us. So surely it would be far more profitable in the future.
And he says, well, I will not ask for that much, but if that's what you're willing to pay, I will not refuse it.
Well, you'll get at least your 50 total, my friend. And then I'm going to quote, I believe it's the Wolf of Wall Street, and say, but after all, money's only something you need if you don't die tomorrow.
Oh my.
And then I'm going to put it. I'm going to pick him up and put him on his pony.
Okay. He sort of has this like confused look on his face. What's going on here? But he is sort of like looking like he's gonna follow you guys.
All right, hey, I'm just being in character weird sorcerer. But I am just going to meta that my character is probably just trying to coerce this guy so that Hanzo doesn't have to spend any of his weaning silver on retaining it. And it's well within Hasafet's MO to just like, oh, you thought we were going to pay you, and now you've like spent all of this time serving us. Well, you're worth less than my 50 silver. You know what I mean? So I'm probably not going to do that. But I'd much rather just not fucking pay the guy. So I just briefly am going to step out and light up. So I'm going to let the three of you handle the thing now that we're riding out of town.
Okay. Okay. So
About
wait.
10 minutes.
Okay. So, Shogun or Hanzo, you spend about a day riding beside Hasafet and Grognar, and you spend the night camping out. You eat some of your rations. You don't really encounter any danger. You wake up the next morning and you continue your journey, and partway through, as you walk along the road, as you stand at the top of a hill that the road is sort of driven over, you can see off in the distance a cave. And so from there, we're going to switch to Sphinx.
Yay!
Sorry it took us so long.
No,
That's
it's fine. You gave me some time to arrange some things IRL, and I enjoyed listening to the narrative and getting into the world. So it's all good.
Sphinx, or what's your character's name? Dorgon?
Drogoon. Drogoon.
Drogoon. Drogoon, you find yourself in a cave. Surrounding the walls of the cave are archaic murals that seem to depict some sort of story. And I will leave it up to you if you would like to describe what is on these murals.
Sure, happy to. So in this holy cave, I observed these murals of depictions of a war fought long ago, and um, I don't know if I have to roll to use the
No,
primal
no.
magic.
I mean, no role necessary if you're just telling us
Okay.
like sort of your
Sure.
backstory stuff,
Okay.
right?
Sure. So I light my with my primal magic a torch in my left hand, and it illuminates further the story depicted, and it shows some sort of altar, and this is a depiction of the cave itself on the cave wall. And on this altar, there is some sort of artifact that is maybe unclear at present, because the painting has faded or smudged or been destroyed in this particular place. So I noticed that there's some sort of great, powerful, but not too great, right? Normally powerful, nothing in my character couldn't wield, artifact, holy artifact of some sort. Um, and I remark, the prophecy, it has led me to this place. Now I've come to where I've been bidden to go. And I venture deeper into the cave and find the altar. And upon getting there, I notice there is what looks to be tarnished but can be cleaned, a great sword upon the altar. Mm. And I go ahead and investigate the area around the altar to make sure there are no traps or anything like this, that or any kind of uh, thing that would prevent me from picking up the great sword and taking it as the prophecy foretold. And
So
I go ahead.
yeah, so as you sort of pick up this great sword, you are sort of aware in your understanding of magic that this is not an enchanted great sword. It's just sort of a something that's a sort of mundane sword that has sort of been left here for your arrival. And as you're sort of looking over this great sword, you notice um one part of the mural which depicts two figures on horseback standing atop a mountain. That
Ale. Excellent. So picking up the great sword, noticing it not to be enchanted, but still to be a fine blade of good quality, and an excellent great sword that is prophesied. I take hold of it and place it in a scabbard on my left side, on my right side. I apologize, my right side, and it fits almost as if it was made for it. Um,
so
and then go ahead.
I just want to let you know in general, right? This is backstory stuff, so it's okay for you to be narrating this. In
Okay,
general, leave the narrating to me. And so
sure.
if say you find something, I'll say like, these boots maybe seem like they're made for you, or these boots
Okay.
seem like they're not, they were, but it's fine right now because you're doing sort of your backstory stuff. So go
Right.
continue.
Yeah. Well, and if I could just say too, because I think you're new to this kind of game, and so it's a little unclear at first. So the DM is the one who knows and describes and defines what is and isn't in any place, etc. And then the players decide how to react to that information, but we don't get to do things like be like, my character finds 10 gold on the ground, or my character
Right.
finds a sword. Like it may or may not be there, and only
Right.
dude missing
Well,
can say.
Just so you know, Shogun, the sword is something he chose at character creation. So
Yeah,
this is
I
just
am getting that vibe,
Yeah.
but just to make sure that we're, because some people, sometimes
Yeah,
that's
I've only
confusion for new
played
players.
I've
Yeah.
only played one session of D&D, so forgive me if there's any growing pains, growing pangs. But yeah, I'll follow Dude Missile's lead in short order. He asked me to describe, so I'm just going with what's coming to
Yeah.
me in the moment. But feel free to step in if I'm going too far.
Right. So yeah, well, what I would say is you see this mural on this cave wall, and you recognize the hill that's on this depicted in this mural with the two horseback figures as actually being a nearby uh location. And so sort of from sort of your sort of cultural understanding of this prophecy, you get the sort of vibe that what this part of the mural is telling you is that you are supposed to sort of meet up with these two travelers who are likely nearby.
Sounds good to me. So in that case, I step to the mouth of the cave to exit, uh, holding my hands out in front of my face to make sure I'm not blinded by the sunlight coming through, and step outside with confidence and yet with caution at the same time. Being aware of my surroundings, um, and look for the hill and the two horseback travelers.
Now, normally I would switch to Shogun and Egg Based, but is because Egg Based is sort of AFK at the moment. I will just assert that Shogun, you and Egg Based have
Oh,
sort of.
I'm back, by the
Oh,
way. I
you
just
back?
didn't interrupt you.
Okay. In that case, Shogun and Egg Based, you two are continuing down the path to Alvaria. And as you are sort of winding down this road on horseback with Grognar on his little pony, um, you see a dragon hybrid man exit from the mouth of a cave, holding his his sort of hands in front of his eyes to prevent himself from being blinded.
All right, so I rolled it earlier, so I presume I'm able to discern this is the source of holiness that I grokked earlier.
Yes, yes,
And I'm sorry, can you repeat to me? So we witness a character emerging from the cave, right? That's what happened here. And
yeah.
he's shielding his eyes from sun. And what does the character look like again, or what are we seeing? Like,
Yeah. So, what do they see, Sphinx? What do they see?
So a male dragon hybrid with a garland of dried skulls of his enemies around his neck, a great sword in the hilt, which I'll get to once we actually meet, and shielding my eyes. He's wearing chainmail and no other armor, and skin black blue in color.
I see. So when you
All right.
say if I can just ask quickly, when you say a human dragon hybrid, are we talking like you have wings, you have claws, you have a long muzzle rather than a flat face? Like, how does that look exactly? Are we talking like a full blown like half dragon? You know.
Do you know what a dragonborn looks like in Dungeons and Dragons?
Well, I think they can look a lot of different ways. Like my first question: do you have wings?
I'd like to if it's permitted, but if not, then that's fine.
I'm gonna say no because flight is a very powerful ability.
Okay,
You could also have
fair enough.
flightless wings, to be fair, but
If you
um,
want flightless wings, you can have flightless wings.
Yeah, so they're not fully developed wings. They're immature wings that are not usable.
right, that would make sense. You'd have the wings, but they wouldn't be able to carry your body aloft. And then you're saying you're black and blue in color. Your skin is
So it's like black with a blue tinge.
okay. So I
All
put
right.
my hand. Go ahead, Egg Based.
So just for clarity, we've got
dragon hybrid as just described, and you're wearing like a chainmail hauberk of some kind, like just like a tunic of chainmail, and no other armor, and you've got a sword in a scabbard, like a discernible greatsword in a scabbard, and a garland of dried skulls around your neck.
Correct, and his face would be elongated as Shogun said,
Gotcha.
with sharp teeth but fangs not bared, because I haven't laid eyes on
Oh,
anyone yet.
dragon-esque. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to, if I can,
Go ahead.
with one hand, put a hand on the pommel or hilt of my sword, and with the other, kind of raise my hand in a sort of halt or pause, open-handed gesture. And then I turn to Hasafet and I say, I have seen creatures like this in Rokugawa. Not all of them are malevolent. However, at least in my country, those of black and blue hue are most likely to be enemies of mankind. So we should perhaps treat this being with some caution.
Having discerned that this is the source of holiness from afore, my skin sort of begins to crawl at the notion that this is some kind of a holy being, given that I'm not particularly prone to holiness as said. And I'm going to nod in agreement and meet that with sort of equal skepticism, on the understanding that while we are going to proceed, we should proceed with caution. I'd also like to roll lore just to see if I can, because Hanzo's just said that he is familiar with these creatures, and like the black and blue ones are often, or more often than others, to be enemies. Can I roll lore to see if I know anything about these creatures at all? Let me try.
Yeah, so I would say give me a second here. Yeah, so go ahead and make a roll against a 2 purple. 2 purple because these are not like that rare, right? Like it's
I gotcha.
yeah.
So I rolled a success.
Okay, so yeah, so what you know is that there's various sort of different cultures of these sort of dragon people, and they're not necessarily distinguishable as like you can't necessarily look at their sort of scale patterns or colors and inherently know about them. They're sort of like any people. They have sort of different cultures. So when Hanzo said the ones of these particular colors are bad and can't be trusted, that you sort of, from what you understand, that's sort of a like a sort of
Superstition.
like, not necessarily a superstition, but that's just like Hanzo is coming from this particular culture, and the dragon hybrids that happen to be there are like that, but that's not necessarily a indication of how they are as an inherent being.
Okay, well, having discerned that, I'm still going to be super sketched because my skin is literally bristling at the sight of like this holy cave. And I'm then going to suggest that we proceed slowly to go up and introduce ourselves to this dragon being.
Walking closer, but not too close, perhaps crossing about half the distance between us, I will then call out and say, "Hail, traveler!" To Sphinx, whose name is again Drogon, right? Drogon.
Dragoon. Yeah.
Yeah, I say, "Hail, traveler! Well met. We mean you no harm. From whence do you come? From whence do you hail?"
Ah, Joshitelek. Oh, do you speak the common tongue only?
I speak passably the common tongue of this land, as well as the native language of my homeland of Rokugawa, but those are the only languages that I speak, as well as perhaps some ceremonial dialects of said language that are not relevant.
I hail from the far east, sir, and your good companion and you have been prophesied to me from this very holy cave.
I take this in with interest and say, my journeys also have led me from the Far East. From whence precisely do you come? Are you also a Rokugawan, or are you from some other part of the eastern realms of Terrinoth? Rokugawa, for anyone who doesn't know, can easily be understood as a fantasy version of Japan.
So I am from the central eastern portion. I am familiar with your abode, sir, but I am not from there. I'm not entirely like the ones that look like me from your country.
I nod and take this in, and I say, in my culture, we venerate and respect dragons and their offspring highly, but at least in the lands from which I come, those who are chromatic in nature, including black or blue, have a history of being predatory or hostile against my people. However, I shall hold you to no such bias or assumption. The benevolent ones, I elaborate perhaps unnecessarily, at least in Rokugawa, display metallic tones such as gold or silver. But I understand that you are not a dragon, but also a man, and therefore I'm not necessarily even saying this. I don't know if I'm saying this or not, but and therefore you're not determined by your scale colors, and I understand that. And to phrase that differently, I understand. Well met. What has brought you to this particular cave, if I may ask?
So in my culture, we have a prophecy that has been long foretold that I was sent out as a having been a sentinel in my land for many years and risen through the ranks in longer fashion than I would have liked, but still nonetheless having risen by merit of my practices and my warriorship, and then was anointed as a guardian that had to go out into the world to protect beings. Hence the name that they gave me, Drogoon, protector of wandering beings.
I nod. I say that is perhaps fortuitous, for wandering beings is what we currently find ourselves to be. We, my companion Hasifet, and myself, and I introduce myself as Hanzo, are currently traveling about 5 days hence to the city of, don't tell me I have it here, Alvaria. And I wonder, now that you have reached this place of your destination, where do you intend to travel next?
Since you were prophesied to be my companions on this journey, I will follow you wherever you are going.
As you guys are talking, um, a strange sort of mist begins to envelop you. Uh, a fog
Um,
starts to wash over the sort of forest you guys find yourselves in.
Really weird. The exact second that you said that, I just scrolled up and saw a green fog rolling in over a forest in a GIF at that exact second.
Um,
It's very strange. But.
so mysterious fog.
Yeah.
Yes. So is the fog of a normal color, right? Is it mysterious only because of its sudden onset, or is there something else about it that is different, such as perhaps its color or texture or
It
smell?
it sort of has a green and purplish sort of color. Like sort of these two distinct colors at various sort of parts of the fog.
So distracted from the question that I had previously been prepared to ask by this sudden and potentially ominous sign, I will go ahead and draw my sword, my katana, and I will look around in all directions to see if I can see anything unusual, perhaps in the mist or around the mist or in the nearby vicinity that might explain the origin of the mist.
So make a perception against 2 purple, 1 black.
Okay. Bear with me for one moment. My perception is 2. So that means I'm going to be rolling 2 greens against 1 purple and 1 black. Now a
2
black
purples, 1 black.
2 purples, 1 black, and a black is a disadvantage for me, right?
The black is the fog, yes.
Yeah, so I would like to use my green or my blue
Your blue?
that
Go
you
ahead.
offered me, yeah,
Yep,
and that
go ahead.
okay. So I appear to have rolled poorly. I believe 2 X's cannot be good, clearly.
Okay, you can't see anything. Like, not that you can't see anything, but you don't
Hmm.
see anything.
Um, okay, so now that I see Hanzo, who is kind of, in a strongly defensive posture, having drawn his sword, and is looking around, sort of right down next to me, trying to discern if there are any threats in this fog. I'm going to conjure or attempt to conjure a ball of light once more to try and illuminate the area and maybe cut some light through this fog if I can.
Okay, you do that. We don't need to roll for that, like always. You can see sort of the immediate surroundings. Would you like to make a perception check?
Um, Shogun, what's your perception?
My perception is sitting at 2 green. Nothing extraordinary.
I mean, mine's 2 green as well, so I'll roll perception, sure.
Mhm.
Okay.
Let me, do I
Yeah.
have maybe have perception better than that? Let me just check. Where do I find that on here?
So it'll be your cunning stat plus any rank points.
Cunning.
Perception is
Cunning
in the general
4.
skills.
Yeah, if you go to general skills and you scroll down, it should be about the middle of that list, about 6 or 7 down, perception.
So I
And then you
didn't
should
put
have
I
a
didn't put
number
a
of
rank
green
in it, but my cunning
triangles.
is 4.
Sorry?
My cunning is 4, but I didn't put a rank in that when I created my
Well, it
character.
should
Yeah, so
automatic if
that's
it
fine. So that's 4 greens with no yellows. So your perception's twice as good as either of ours.
Yeah.
So
So
how do I
roll.
roll?
So on this, you in the dice channel that we're in.
Yes. Yes, I'm
So,
in there.
so you should see some symbols, some dice with a counter next to them with up and down arrows. So you're gonna add 4 greens and
Okay.
2 purples.
Okay.
And then
And
roll
then
it.
you just roll.
Awesome. Okay. You see a sort of humanoid, almost ghoul-esque sort of creature. It seems to have quite powerful muscles, and it seems to have these sort of very sharp claws on the end of its fingers, and 2 of these things are approaching you together. The whole group, they're approaching you.
so can we now also see these beings now that perhaps Drogon has pointed them out to us
Yes.
and has okay. So I will simply say this is what I was concerned of in my homeland of Rokugawa. There is a place called the Wastelands outside the Great Wall that defends our nation. And such noxious mists often precede the invasions of the fell creatures that periodically try to invade our land. And I will therefore also recommend that we avoid becoming enmeshed in this mist or breathing it in, if possible, as well as preparing to deal with these ghouls. I'm wondering, is this mist like closing in all around us? Is it all around us? Is there an area we can like move where we would be out of it by possibly going up the hill towards the cave, perhaps? And rather than saying all that, I'm going to indicate to my companions that the cave entrance would be a defensible spot, a choke point of sorts, if we must engage these beings.
So the cave is, you guys are sort of right outside the cave. It's not like
Very well.
up in terms of elevation, but it would probably make a decent place to sort of
Right. And
hurdle
again,
up.
is this fog like upon us? Are we breathing it
You are
in?
in it, yeah.
Does it have an odor? Is it
So
causing us any discomfort that we can detect?
It makes you feel a little weird. Like you get a weird vibe from being in it, but it doesn't seem to be having any significant adverse effects. No.
Very well. I will
Do
position. Go ahead.
Is there any way I can repel this fog? Like,
Um,
I'd like to be able to kind of sort of force push the fog just so that we don't have to be actively breathing it in.
Which magic skills do you have again? Remind me.
Arcana and Divine, so I should be able to use Move,
This
I
double?
think.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, you can sort of jet it out of the way with a move spell. It's only gonna be a 1 purple because it's just it's some mist. It's gonna be pretty easy to move. So go ahead, roll that.
As you're rolling that, how distant from us now are these large muscular ghouls? Are they close or far to
I
you?
I would say in Genesis terms they are medium range. So
So
they
that's
are
triple success and advantage.
okay. You managed to create sort of almost like a sort of bubble in the immediate area. Remember to be remember to be counting your strain, but you managed to sort of create like a sort of clear bubble away from the fog, um,
Okay.
in sort of your immediate area.
So if I can say so to my companions, uh, journeyman, the cave is safe. I came from inside of it, and obviously I'm still here. So let us defend ourselves from a defensible position. And I take out my great sword, and I don't know what I have to roll for primal magic, but I use my primal purple fire to light my great sword on fire.
Okay, so we're gonna call I'm gonna house rule it this time. I will refresh myself on the exact rules of enhance, but we'll call it make a primal roll against 2 purples, and the net successes are additional damage on your next attack.
Do I take 2 strain out for casting the push on the fog?
Anytime you have to roll for a spell.
Okay,
Two
so
strands. So our draconic companion ignites his great sword with magical purple fire. Egg Hasafet dispels the fog. I will take advantage of the increased visibility to quickly sheath my sword and draw my new bow, knocking an arrow and attempting to unleash a arrow at the nearest of the 2 ghouls.
okay, so I have cunning 4 and primal gives me I have a rank in it and gives me 2 additional green. So what is that? How many do I roll?
How many does it say on the sheet? Like, how many symbols do you see next to it?
Primal has 2 next to it, and I have 4 cunning in that.
So again, like on my sheet, I don't know if yours is different or if I've been doing it wrong, but beside every skill, there's going to be either green triangles, yellow hexagons, or both. And my understanding is that tells you exactly what you roll, but then you also have rank and career, so it's a little more complicated than that, I
Okay,
guess.
so what's the associated characteristic and what's your stat in the skill?
So primal is cunning. I have 4 cunning.
Uh-huh.
And then I on next to primal, that's where my career and rank 1
Okay, so you're
skill.
gonna be rolling 3 greens, 1 yellow
Right,
against 2
but
purple.
just to be clear, do you not see that when you look at primal? Don't you see 3 green triangles and 1 yellow hexagon?
It doesn't have a yellow hexagon for me on my character sheet. That's why I asked.
No, and for the record, my character sheet isn't doing the live calculations on the symbols for me either. So
Okay.
it's good that it is for you, though.
It is good,
Okay,
yes.
so I'm rolling, just so I'm clear, 1 yellow, 3 green, and 2 purple.
Yes.
This is to enchant your sword.
Okay, so I don't know if you guys can see
You
that.
failed.
Fuck.
Yeah, you try to you try to you try to awaken the magic, your magical abilities to uh coat your sword with mystical energies, but your focus is a little bit lost at the moment, and you fail to do it. Um, so now everyone make a simple cool check. If I say make a simple check, that just means you roll the stat against no difficulty, no reds, no purples, no blacks. Just roll the stat. So everyone make a simple
The
cool check.
stat is cool.
Yeah,
Okay. So we just simply roll 2 green in my case.
yeah.
This
2
has given
green.
me somehow the result of 3 triangles from only 2 dice. 3, what do you call that again? A vertex?
Advantage. Okay. Uh, Egg based and Sphinx, both of you roll a D100. So Sphinx, there should be one in there. It has
I
like a
see.
counter. Yeah,
I see.
just roll one of those. Okay,
84.
you go first, Sphinx, and then it's Hasavet, and then it's Shogun.
Okay.
Now, just to be fair, or not to be fair, but to be clear, is this because now the combat has begun? Because it seems to me
Yes.
that both Hasafit and Drogon both just made an action already, right? They both essentially both just cast a spell. So wouldn't
Yeah.
that mean that I would now get an action?
They sort of did it before we entered the sort of the
Okay,
turn order.
fair enough, no problem.
And just so you
Understood.
know, the reason we did that D100, that was a tiebreaker because you both had the same roll for your initiative. So
Understood.
Gotcha.
Drogon, so combat's a little bit more structured. You guys take turns,
Right.
and you get one action, one maneuver, and as many incidentals as is reasonable for what you're doing. So an action could be like you attack, you cast a spell, you do something that requires considerable effort or attention. A maneuver would be like moving around or taking some sort of action that's not quite as substantial as an action.
Right.
So that would be like you're moving around, getting closer to enemies, trying to disengage, that sort of thing. And as
Right.
many incidentals as you could reasonably pull off. Um,
Incidentals being what
so
precisely?
that could be like calling out to your friend, "Hey, they're weak to fire," or something like that, right? Like just
Right.
sort of anything that would take an insignificant amount of time on its own.
Okay.
And can I make an incidental action to simply say something, or would that also be an initiative thing?
Everything is initiative in combat. So you can do that on your turn.
Got it.
Okay. So incidentally, I would say to my new companions, let us make this into a choke point and get get behind me if you will. My draconic skin and my chainmail. I have faced these types of beings before, and I thought that maybe there was some sort of enemy mentioned in the cave murals. This is why the sword was delivered unto me. So please let me protect you. And then I will. Do I try to light the sword again, or do I just strike? That's a good
So
question.
you could either try to light your sword again. Also, but just so you know, you should have removed 2 strain from your strain counter for
Oh,
trying to light it
I
the
didn't
first
even
time.
put
Yeah.
the strain counter on.
Yeah.
That's
Okay.
my
Yeah.
Strain
Um.
seems to be the function for mana, if I
Yeah.
understand
Yeah.
correctly, because my character
Okay.
doesn't use strain, or does he?
Well, it's not just mana is the thing. So if someone
Okay,
does non-lethal damage, that would be
I
strain.
gotcha.
If
Okay.
something is like exhausting you, that would be
Hmm.
non-lethal. That would be strain.
Okay,
But
understood.
yeah. Yeah.
General exhaustion that magic also causes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So what I would say to you is you could either the sort of most obvious courses of action here would you could be either try to light your sword and approach them, or try to light your sword and stay where you are, or you could approach them and attack them. Those are the most sort of immediately available solutions to this problem.
Yeah, I'm wondering if I should. I'm gonna step to them. That's not an issue. It's just a question of do I just strike immediately with the sword because it's not enchanted, but I could put my primal magic on it and maybe they're weak to fire. I think I'm gonna roll for primal magic again and try to light my sword once again. Now that I've actually could we make the that was that stat that we were talking about earlier, discipline. Can I roll discipline to see if this, because I perceive this to be a test from part of the prophecy.
What are you trying to roll discipline to do?
Um, to focus so that I can use my magic next turn to make sure that I light my sword.
Okay, roll discipline against it, and feel free to do this own sort of thing, egg based, if you feel inclined, if you have a chance to do it. Roll against a 2, and if you succeed, I'll give you 1 blue.
Okay, so
Essentially using
discipline.
discipline to meditate so that he can more successfully do his
Mhm.
magic in his
Yeah.
next
Exactly.
turn, essentially.
Exactly my point. Yep.
Okay.
So discipline is got 2 green, and it's willpower, and willpower I have a 2. So how many do I roll?
The
So how
2
many?
green is your willpower, and then the 1 would come if you had any rank, if I'm not mistaken. So I have 2 green, which is based on, I believe, my stat, and 1 yellow, which is based on having 1 rank in that skill. So,
Yeah, I don't have I have it as career, but I don't have a rank in it.
right. So then I believe you would only roll the green
Just roll
triangles,
2
which would
green.
be equal to the stat.
Okay,
And
2
1
points of
purple.
order. The first is that Dude Missile, whatever you said, I'm welcome to do as well. I don't know
Yeah.
what the fuck that was. And the second is you can go on the right in this dice session, and you can put your character in the dice session, and it'll give you a live wound and strain counter and a live silver counter.
Oh, okay. That's why it says the character name above the wounds and the strain and all that. So how do I get mine in there? My character sheet in there.
I'm not
I
sure
think
what you. I've just been tracking everything on my own sheet. I wasn't even aware of what you're saying either. But
Yeah, you don't have to do that. That's fine. I'm just going to do it because it's easier than having to go over and adjust my Google Doc. So go ahead.
right.
Feel free to use either, folks, as long as you're aware of how much health and strain you have.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll do that in a moment. But it's
So-
2 green, 1 purple, you said?
So, so just tell me, you're using discipline. How many points do you have of discipline? Like, how many ranks do you have in it?
I don't have any. I didn't specialize
Okay,
in it.
and what
I gave it
what's
as career.
and what's the stat?
The stat for willpower is 2
So you roll 2 greens against 2 purples.
against 2 purples. Okay.
Right.
Yeah, this is a 50-50 chance.
Okay.
Okay. You try to focus, and you actually quite frankly, you end up sort of psyching yourself out, and you are now less focused than you were previously. So
God
next
damn it.
up is Hasafet.
It's
It's your turn.
private.
All right. So having a clear view, have they advanced to engage range yet? Or are they still medium?
They're at short range now. So they're
Okay.
still not quite melee range.
And I'm standing
Having
right in front.
having these extremely disgusting ghoul beings in front of me in clear sight and having the fog lifted, I am going to center energy around my hands and channel my psyker powers to line them both with flame and aim both of my hands, one each, at the 2 ghouls and cast fire out of them both. Try
So
to burn the ghouls.
do you remember how we did AoE before?
No.
Okay. If it's cool with you, we'll say whatever your total damage is, you can split them amongst the multiple targets however way you want.
Works for me.
Okay. So
And this
roll.
is just a visualization question, but are you casting conventional pyrotechnic incendiary fire, or is this some kind of like warp fire?
Oh, it's 100% warp flame. Like it's burns like teal, and maybe it's got like some sparks in it. But yeah, it's just kind of like a plasmated fire.
Gotcha.
Sort of typical teal such. Yep.
Okay.
So how much strain did I get from the failed action?
It's always going to be 2 for any roll
2.
unless otherwise stated.
Any failed roll causes strain? Is that
No,
what you're saying?
any cast causes 2 strain.
Right, but he
So-
wasn't casting. He was doing a meditation based only on willpower.
I'm
So-
sorry. Yeah, you don't take any strain. Sorry, I sort of lost
So,
track.
Drogoon, do me a favor. Type
Yeah.
13 into the wounds box.
Yeah, I
and
got you.
11 into the strain box, and then hit the set button.
Send or set?
Set.
Okay, I see it now.
There you go. So now you've updated your stats so that we can all see them.
Cool. Sounds good.
All right, so I'm going to do my Arcana roll.
Yeah, 2 purple like always.
2 success and a threat.
Okay, what's the characteristic associated with Arcana? Is it intelligence?
I have an intellect of 4. Yeah.
Okay, so you did 6 damage. Would you? How would you? There's 1 on the left, 1 on the right. How would you like to distribute it?
Can I ask you if they have the same HP?
I will just. I mean, I'm not
Are
always
they?
gonna look.
Is it obviously discernible to me whether or not they are of the same threat level?
Yes, yes. They're the same type of being, and they
Okay.
look roughly the same in terms of their physical attributes.
So then, fuck it. I'm gonna do 3 and 3 and see how that goes. Might be a
Okay.
mistake, but
Right. They sort of like cower backward for a moment, but then they continue to press on. Shogun, it's your turn. Unless
Okay, so
unless Hassavet wanted to move or something.
yeah. I mean, I'm gonna just make sure that I'm moved into the cave with my companions here. That's
Okay.
all.
yes,
Hanzo, it is your turn.
I will. So the question now is their range, right? Are they in terms of feet or meters away from us approximately, or or whatever way you want to describe it, right? What range are we at?
They within their turn, they could move to engaged range and attack you.
But they're not currently in striking range of me.
No,
And therefore I am not in striking range of them. So
no.
therefore, as I said earlier, I have sheathed my sword and drawn my bow and arrow, which I will attempt to test out my new bow and arrow. And I will knock an arrow to my bow and set it. Well, I will attempt to fire it at the one on the left, for lack of a better term, or whichever one is closest, rather.
Okay. They're both roughly the same.
Yeah. So we'll say I shoot at the one on the left.
Okay. So make a ranged attack against 2 purple.
Okay, so my range skill is only going to be 3 green. That's going to be against 2 purple. And I only rolled 2 advantages, I think, which is
So
successes.
you missed, but what would you like to happen here?
So when you say what would I like to happen here, this means I can, even though I failed at my roll, I can somehow have something to my advantage happen.
Yeah, so maybe
Okay,
you like shot the arrow into the
sure.
dirt and it sort of got in his
Well,
eyes or
I
something like
guess
that, right?
what I'll suggest, and you can tell me if this is an appropriate thing. I'll use an incidental action to say beings of this nature in my homeland are often weakened or repulsed by holy magic or the presence of holy things. So perhaps if we lure them into the cave or otherwise, what I'm suggesting is perhaps the advantage is that some effect like that it is in fact in play. Would that be a reasonable way to interpret that? Like I miss with my arrow, but they are somehow in some way weakened by the presence of the holy cave.
So in general, you shouldn't try to do that in a way that implies lore, right? So
Right,
it
right.
should be like, oh,
I'm just trying to
you
think
not
of how missing with an arrow could possibly, like what is it? Knocks like a fruit off a tree that lands
yeah,
on his head.
yeah,
Like I mean, I don't
something like
really
that,
see
yeah.
don't really see any realistic way that missing with my arrow could do much.
So I'll say this. You sort of got him right by the feet, and he sort of like tried it didn't hit him. It was barely didn't hit him, but he still reacted enough that he sort of got off balance and sort of fell over. And he has to now spend his movement getting back up.
Okay, so
Nice.
he's been knocked off his feet by how close my arrow came, frightening him, so to speak.
Yeah. Yeah.
So be it.
Okay.
Jumped back and fell.
So yeah. So next up, so that one is going to spend its turn. The one on the left is going to spend its turn getting up. The one on the right, since Shogun is like the only one who's not really near the cave, Shogun, this one's gonna attack you, and it's going to make so da da da. So
Am I
it's
not
gonna.
near the cave? I mean, I have no problem with that, but I was
Oh, do you want to
imagining
go? Do you want to go to the cave?
I was imagining that when Drogon said, "Please come, stand beside me," I was going to say, but I didn't get the chance that I'll
Okay.
take a position, on his left and right side, respectively, or I'll take a position beside him in the cave entrance, because as I mentioned earlier, I had also identified it as a logical,
Yeah.
defensible spot.
Okay, yeah, sure. And in that case, one of them spends their turn getting up, and the other one spends its turn approaching you. It is again now still within short range.
So do I have the opportunity still within my turn to sheath or sling my bow and draw
Yes.
my sword? Okay.
Yeah. Listen,
So
you can
all
call
right.
it an
So
incidental.
after missing my arrow, I will sling my bow and draw my katana and hold it in a two-handed grip, preparing for the onrushing abominations.
Okay, next up to the top of the order, it's you, Drogoon.
All right. So, the one on the left is the one that's knocked down.
I believe so. Yes, I
But
think.
I think it got up already, but it's farther behind now because
Yes.
of that than the other one. So one
Oh,
of them,
it's
I believe,
sprinted
is
on.
almost upon us, and the other one is slightly further behind because it had to get back to its feet. Is my understanding.
Okay, so it spent its action getting up as opposed to it's knocked down and I can pursue it.
Yeah, it's already on its feet. All I managed to
Okay.
do was slow its advance somewhat.
All right. So what I'd like to do is, since I have a rank in lore and it's one of my careers, I'd like to um, roll for lore by and saying to my companions, adversaries like this and were prophesied as well. This is all coming true. Um, and I'm trying to discern if the prophecy has told me what their weakness is.
Okay, yeah, make a lore check against 2 purple.
Perhaps you could
Okay,
even,
so
by doing that, just hypothetically, we might derive a name for these beings by a successful lore check. Might be within the realm of
that
possibility.
was the other thing I wanted to mention. Thank you for reminding me, Shogun. Since I have that heroic ability, which is part prophecy and part.
Heroic abilities take story points. Don't even get into that right now.
No, okay, all right, cool. So yeah, I'll do a lore check. So I got rank 1, and I've got 2 green because my intelligence is 2. So how many do I roll for that?
So roll 1 green and 1 yellow against the 2 purples that he specified.
But didn't he
So
say that
one.
his stat was 2, and then he had 1 rank? So that would, I think, did I
2
misunderstand?
green and a yellow.
Yeah, so 2 is the total number of dice, and the 1 rank point is the number of yellows. So it's 1 green, 1 yellow.
Okay.
Wait,
Fair enough.
I'm confused. My understanding
Okay,
with that would
okay.
be two
Shogun,
greens,
Shogun,
1 yellow.
Shogun. I, so I'm going to explain this as simply as I can. You look at the skill and what number you have it at. You look at the associated characteristic. You compare the two. The higher number is the total number of dice. The lower number is the total number of those dice that are yellow, and then the rest are green. So if you've got like a 4 brawn and a 1 brawl, then you roll 3 greens and 1 yellow for a total of 4 dice.
Gotcha.
That is the calculation your sheet is usually doing for you.
Right. Well, so I'm not going to be honest. I still don't understand, and I am, and that's fine. But I'm just concerned I may have been like cheating or something. Then, so just we could figure this out in my next
Now,
turn as well.
all your rolls have tracked so far.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think as long as if the sheet's doing it for you, then just do what the fucking sheet says because
Yeah.
the sheet is right.
Right, but again, the way I'm reading the sheet, right? So I'm sorry to just distract from the action, right? But let's say I were to make a melee light attack, right? My sheet is telling me then, if I understand it, that I would be rolling 2 yellows and 1 green because I have 1 green triangle and 2 yellow hexagons beside the skill of melee light.
So
Yes.
what's your agility and what's your rank skill in melee light?
My agility is 3 and my rank skill is 2.
You have a rank 2 melee light, so yeah, you'd roll 3 dice and 2 of them would be yellow. So
Okay,
yeah,
so
it'd
it
be
is
2 yellows
exactly.
and 1 green.
Okay, good. Okay, I understand. It is what I thought then. Sorry.
Okay,
There you
so
go.
I
No,
just rolled.
and I'm glad we got it all figured out.
Yeah, I just rolled.
Okay, yeah. There's not. So you rolled a threat. So because we haven't explained this to the new player yet. So there's basically two axes of success here. There's pass or fail, and then there's a second axis of how lucky you were at the roll. So you failed and you were slightly unlucky. There's not a lot I can do with that. So all I'm gonna say is you do not recognize this creature. Like perhaps it might have been in a book, but that was available to you. But if it was, you
Book
never
I
read
didn't
that
read.
page. Yeah,
Yeah. Okay. Fair
either
enough.
a book or a page you didn't read. Yeah. Yeah. You still have like
Okay.
an action.
Okay. So my action will be to get so I've got good soak. I'm gonna make sure that I'm sword to sword, side to side with Hanzo. Make sure that I'm right there with him, and I'm gonna step in front of Hanzo, and I'm going to swing with my greatsword.
Okay, so unless otherwise specified, you are going to roll on any attack. You will roll the attack skill you're using against 2 purple. So an attack roll is unless otherwise specified 2 purple. So what is your what
Melee
is
heavy,
melee heavy? So what does it say to roll for that?
2 green. I have career but no rank. So
Okay.
2 green versus 2 purple.
What's your brawn?
My brawn is 3.
Okay, you're gonna be rolling 3 green. For some reason, your auto calculator's not working. So roll 3 green against 2 purple. Okay. Now what did your sword say for damage?
My sword.
Should be on the first page. It says okay. I still have your page right here. It says 4 damage.
4 damage, 3 crit, engaged.
Okay. 1 moment. 4 damage to crit. So you did 5 damage. So
Okay.
I'm assuming you attacked the one that was closer.
Yeah, I was standing next to Hanzo, so I assumed it was the left because that's when he attacked.
Okay. Right. So you give it a big slash. And its entrails are not quite falling out, but it is bleeding profusely, and it doesn't look like it has much fight left in it, but it's still kicking.
Finally, some success.
Yeah. Okay. Next
Sorry,
up,
how much damage did you do?
you did 5.
5.
Good job.
Uh,
Uh,
right. So next up is
Right. So, really quickly, I'm just going to attempt to outdo his lore roll just because mine's a little better equipped to try and figure out, names, weaknesses, etc.
yeah.
Against 2,
2. Yeah.
3 success, 2 advantage.
3 success, 2 advantage. Okay. Yes. So you are aware that this thing is called a ferox. In meta terms, this is a rival. It has sort of this membrane kind of skin that that stretches over its arms and torso, and it allows it to sort of glide. And it has sort of this bat-like appearance. If you see these membranes, their arms are have these sort of wicked hook claws, and they have these sort of razor sharp teeth. They're sort of pretty. They're pretty dumb, and they're easily dominated by dark magic. You know that the rumors has it that people who survive their bite slowly transform into one of them.
Okay.
I'm sorry, did we get
Um,
a name from the creature there?
Ferox.
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 And I know it's not my turn, but quick question: are these beings of human size and stature? Are they larger or smaller?
They're human size and shape,
I
but
understand.
they have claws and they have sharp teeth.
Okay.
All right. So, upon learning that they're sort of like just lame vampire ghouls and not like some kind of, rival like force of darkness, I am going to realize that my fire AoE was sort of dumb and I'm going to revise my strategy, press my hands together, and conjure most of my force. I'm not going to push it, but I'm going to give it a really good try and hit the unwounded Ferox with a bolt of dark lightning.
Okay. Yeah, roll attack. Roll magic attack.
Just typical attack.
Yep.
All right. 3 advantage, so a failure.
Yeah, you whiff it, but this thing recognizes this sort of dark energy you are throwing at it. And I'm going to make this thing roll with an additional black dice against all attacks because they're kind of freaked out now. Shogun, or do you want to move or anything? Do you want to do an incidental?
Wait, so just for clarity, what was my advantage on the lore roll?
The advantage on the lore roll?
Yeah.
The success plus the advantage, I just basically read out the lore page to you.
Oh, just gave me the whole thing. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. I'm going to. So the way I'm seeing it in my head is that Hanzo and I were in the cave, and Drogoon stepped up in front to attack the Ferox in front.
Mm-hmm.
The left,
I'm just
yeah.
gonna. I'm just gonna take a slight step back, recognizing that I'm not very formidable in melee.
Okay. Shogun,
All
it is
right.
your turn.
Okay, so having drawn my ceremonial ancestral katana, I will attempt to execute a, slash on the one that Drogon has already badly wounded, reasoning that it is always better to finish off an enemy and improve our advantage in numbers. So when I'm rolling my katana, that's going to be melee heavy or melee light?
Melee light.
Right,
Yeah.
understood, yeah, okay. So therefore I will be rolling 1 green and 2 yellows against how many purples? 2?
2.
2, okay. So
Ooh.
that's
Which would you attack, the one on the right or the one on the left?
sorry?
Do you attack the
left.
one
I,
He
left?
attacked the wounded one.
I attacked the one that was wounded already.
Okay,
So,
how much damage does your sword do?
my sword itself does damage 3, crit 2. Now I'm a little curious though. Does my brawn not also contribute to my damage, or is it entirely the damage of my sword, or is it
Brawn,
plus
it's
sword?
it's the damage of your sword plus your net successes.
Okay.
It's only your brawn if you're making like a punch, basically.
Yeah,
so
and you
the
rolled melee light, so your agility factored into the number of die. So
Yeah.
right. So the thing I rolled here, is this a critical success? Is that what that means?
Yes. Now, normally we would roll for like a critical injury, but this thing is so damn low that I'm just gonna rule that he dies.
So I
The
would
one on
like to describe it as I execute a downward slash over its right collarbone and just cut it in half right down to its hip.
right. Okay. The one that's remaining. Or wait, you wanted to move? Did you want to move or anything? Did you already move?
I just want to reposition myself so that I am now directly facing the remaining adversary with my sword in its regular defensive ready posture.
Okay, and the surviving one.
That's assuming I can't also I can't. No, I can't make another. Yeah, I can't make another attack as well.
Yeah. So the other one attacks you, and he does 5 damage. He swipes you with his claws.
Okay, so he slashes me, penetrates my armor, and I suffer 5 damage, but I reduce that by my soak value of 3.
Yes.
So I therefore take only 2 damage, which brings me down to 11 health. Okay. However, unbeknownst to me at this point, this potentially could have exposed me to some kind of progressive infection, but that's neither here nor there at this point.
Well, we can assume that
Or
Hasafet
did you
may.
say it has to be the bite specifically?
It's the bite. It's the
Okay.
bite.
All right.
Good.
So, yeah. Next, back to the top of the order. It's you again, Drogoon.
Okay. So I'm going to, just as Hanzo did, um, uh, step to the or remain where I am and back up Hanzo. Is it facing both of us, or is it he turned his attention towards him, so it's slightly off kilter, and therefore I've got some sort of uh, good flanking going
Yeah,
on, something like
if you want to flank them, we can give you a blue for that. I'm
that?
sure there's some more specific rules on a target facing the other way, but we're just gonna call it a blue for now.
Okay.
Random
So
target, you could say.
Yeah. So
yeah. Okay.
make an attack roll against 2 purple, like always. Attack roll's always 2 purple, and give yourself 1 blue.
Okay. Giving myself a blue, and then melee heavy.
Yeah. So
Let's see. So melee heavy is two green and a blue against two purple.
what's your melee heavy and what's your brawn?
Melee heavy is it's two green. Well, but I can't trust that. You were saying.
No, yeah.
Um,
What's how many ranks do you have in it? I mean.
I put it as career, but I put a rank in it because I put it in. I put it
Okay.
into
So yeah,
into.
it's just gonna be 3 greens
Okay,
against
three
2
greens
purples.
because my brawn is three. Okay,
3 greens, 1 blue, 2 purple.
okay.
Oh, oh my! That's like literally in terms of successes, that's the best you could have rolled.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
that's wow.
So what's the damage on your the damage on your sword, let me just check because I have your sheet here. 4
And then
you
crit of
want
three.
yeah, you didn't get enough advantages to crit. So you got
Okay.
4 plus 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You did 10 damage. Uh how it has
Well
okay,
struck, sir.
I'll just let you know it has exactly 10 health. So how do you kill this thing? How do you
Yeah.
kill it?
I'm just gonna behead the motherfucker, honestly,
Never go
so
wrong
they
with
can't
that,
bite anybody else.
usually. Yep.
Okay. It's you
Well
behead it
done.
and its head rolls across the floor a few inches.
So both
Combat
go ahead, sorry.
combat order ended.
All right. Well, since I would have been next in the combat order, I'm just going to take my opportunity to swear incessantly in my foreign alien tongue over the fact that I literally expended 6 strain to do absolutely nothing except move some fog. And then I'm going to shut my mouth and yeah, we're just going to see.
So I
And
have
I
two
will
strain from swiping it again.
sorry?
Do I have two strain again from having beheaded it?
No,
Um
there's no strain, I don't think, for successfully doing an attack or anything like that.
yeah,
The
yeah.
the DM will tell you when you endure strain, and you always will endure strain for using magic, if I understand correctly.
Yeah, you've got it, Shogun.
So
Okay,
I
so now I
would
go
like
back up
to,
to 11 because I negged to myself for the successful hit last time. Then
yeah, you don't have to reduce strain when you hit something or attack something or anything. So unless you've done magic where the DM has told you to reduce strain, you don't need to worry about strain.
okay, good.
It's specifically it's any magical action that you have to roll for. So there's a
Right.
spell category called utility. So what Eggbase uses this for example, is he makes like a ball of light that follows the party,
Oh,
or he can
oh,
like
I know
he
what
can
I.
like he can like snap his fingers and light a candle, but like he
Okay.
doesn't have to roll for that. So if you're using magic and I tell you to roll for it, remove 2 strain.
So was it? I think I negged to for the lore check that failed, or
Right, no,
no, it succeeded.
that was my mistake. You that was a lore check. You that was my mistake. I told you to remove 2 strain because I forgot it wasn't a magic check. But yeah, you didn't have to
Okay,
remove
so
2
I'm
for the
back up to
lore.
11 then.
Your
Okay,
strain
that's
should be
good.
full as far as I know. I guess you did do one magic spell that failed, so
Yeah.
yeah. So I would simply like to remark, or I will remark, I will say it seems fortune, or perhaps the prophecy you've spoken of, has indeed favored us, as evidently you are a formidable defender, as you have said, as we have seen. So surely it will be to our advantage to continue to travel together. And I would like to thank you for your assistance in this defense. However, I am extremely curious about the prophecy that you described. You claim that both my companion Hazafet and I have been prophesied to be your companion. And so I look at Drogon and I ask him to please explain the nature and origin and details of this prophecy insofar as you can. How is it that you know that we are the ones that you are seeking, and what is it that has been prophesied about us, if anything?
So, do I know that Hasafet has this ability to light things, or is that not been revealed in
Well, you've
because we
already
haven't?
seen you've seen him shoot warp fire out of his hands at this point at the
Okay,
enemies,
fair
so
enough.
you know at least he has the power to
So,
shoot fire out of his hands. But
okay, uh, my new friends, would would you bring the light to your torches, please, and follow me rather than tell you? I'd like to show you something. And I motion to step further into the cave and show them the mural
sure,
with,
I
with the
will
two horsemen.
do what he said and draw one of, or perhaps two of my torches out of my bag and ignite one, realizing that my companion can create magical light, but may as well save his strain. I will light one of the torches I purchased, and I suppose I'll offer one to either of the other companions that would also perhaps like a torch, as I have three. One would probably do for all three of us, actually. We might as well save it. So I'll simply light my torch and
Now,
follow. Mhm.
are you guys going into the cave?
Yeah, he's
Yeah,
indicated that we should follow him inside and
I
light our
want to show
torches.
them
So
the mural.
I have lit my torch, and I will follow Drogon into the cave.
So I'm still thinking in D&D order of initiative things, but it's not combat. So
Yeah, there's no initiative outside of combat. You can just freely declare what you'd like to say or do at any time, as
all
long
right.
as no one else is already,
So
speaking.
I motion for Hanzo and Hasafet to follow me and start walking towards the mural. And I ask my companions, hold up your torch, please, and look, gaze upon the prophecy as it is told upon this holy cave's wall. And I point to the two horse riding figures on the hill, and point out and explain that I retrieved this great sword from the altar that is also depicted.
And Shogun, Hanzo, you noticed that the hill on the mural was actually the hill you guys were on when you noticed.
I see.
Yeah.
So the prophecy is that Drogon would come here and retrieve this sword, and it was depicted on the painting that he would encounter two people on horseback when he did so, and that's how he's concluded that these people are us. Is that correct?
Yes.
Very well. I will wave my torch around and sort of just take everything in and examine the cave to see if there's any other details I can note. Otherwise, I'll simply kind of note and admire these cave paintings. Um, I suppose it wouldn't hurt for me to roll a lore check since we both apparently derive from some kind of vaguely adjacent Eastern realm. Can I roll a lore check to deduce if there is any, overlap or familiarity with this and anything I may have been exposed to in Rokugawa in terms of like the style of the writing or the images depicted on the walls or anything?
So yes, we can do that, but this is going to be one of those roles where I actually we're going to let Dragoon adjudicate it. So I'll tell him how much information he should divulge, and he can answer the question for you. So go ahead
Okay.
and
I'm just
go
going to go ahead and roll two greens to simply see if my knowledge can
against
tell
two.
me. Oh, against two purple. Sorry. Well, I
Yeah.
rolled two advantages,
Well,
and
just
then yeah.
okay. So it seems so that means you're left with one threat. So it seems quite foreign to you.
Nothing here is familiar to me. Fascinating. Well, certainly, I say it is no coincidence that we met at such a time and were so quickly set upon by such foes. perhaps we should consider that beings such as these may not have been alone. There may be others closing in on us even as we speak, or others nearby. And so we should perhaps either vacate this place or examine the nearby environment to see if there are any more threats incoming, so that we don't end up trapped in this cave, perhaps.
So can we get a time check on the recording?
I actually don't know how to do that.
Whatever channel you summon the bot in, there should be a.
So it started recording at 9:37 p.m.
So how many? Does it say like in brackets how many hours it's been?
No, it doesn't, but the current time is 11:52, so if we started at approximately, call it 9:30, and now it's almost 12, we've been playing for give or take 90 minutes, right?
90 minutes. Okay.
From 9:30 to 12. Wait, is that correct?
9:30 to
No,
12
that's
is two
it's
and a
more
half
like
hours.
2.5 hours, yeah.
Okay,
Not
we're
90 minutes.
we're gonna wrap up in not too long. Just
All
so
right.
you know.
So the
Um,
last thing that I might like to say is if we examine the bodies of these two dead beings, do they carry any kind of artifacts with them, or are they completely natural animals with no bags or gear of any kind?
well, the question is, Shogun, you know when hunters hunt something, and
Hmm.
they skin it,
Yeah,
they take out the shark teeth, like
Hmm.
that's the
let's
most
take
that they
control
have.
here.
Right. They don't have any bags, belts, or like artifacts of clothing or anything like that.
Yeah, but
Understood.
some of their body parts might be worth something to an alchemist.
Well,
I'd
Can
like
I,
to procure a Ferox Talon if I can. And then can we rest in the cave because Drogoon was living here previously? Can we rest here?
I was gonna ask if I could if I could skin one of the heads as an alchemist and then add it to my garland of skulls.
Yes, yes, you can do that.
yeah, and I
And
suppose.
Do I get my Ferox Claw?
yes, you get your fair. I thought you wanted a talon. Oh, you said talon. Yeah, you can get your talon.
Talon, yeah, Talon
Yeah.
Claw. Whatever.
On the same note, consistent with my past actions, I will go ahead and sever an entire paw or hand from one of these beings and just put it in my bag based on the concept that it is either a trophy or may come in handy at some future time in some way.
Um, Additionally, I'd like to ask if that poison from their fangs is what turns us into them, from what the lore you said. Is it possible as an alchemist that this might come in handy in the future to have us gain some sort of immunity if I can turn the venom into anti-venom as an alchemist?
So here's the thing. I'll answer that the best I can at this very moment. So
Sure.
alchemy does have sort of specific rules.
Okay,
Um, and we can get into those later. Uh,
sure.
I will say I like the idea of running alchemy as sort of like magic, where it's like, anything that would make sense. You find a fire demon's, saliva, and you can make like some fire coating for arrows or something like that. So I would say
Right.
don't worry too much about that right now.
Okay.
Um,
I'm just thinking since I took one of the heads that it still has the teeth, you know?
I would say not in an in-game sense of what your character is aware of, but in like a meta sense of I would say probably. Yeah.
Okay. Excellent. Maybe we can use that to turn our enemies later on in the campaign or damage
Excellent.
them further or something. Yeah.
So we
Okay.
have
Excellent.
harvested, Hasafet has taken a talon, I have taken a claw, and I suppose at this point we will rest and end our session is what we're saying.
Yeah, is that okay with everyone?
Yeah, that's great.
It's
Yeah,
very late for me.
thank
Okay.
you. It's
Yeah, if
midnight.
Yeah,
you
that's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can go to bed.
Makes sense to me
Okay.
because I don't have a horse. I have the
Uh,
job done with somebody at some point. But yeah, yeah, that's good. We can rest in the cave.
okay,
We
great.
got a natural shelter, you know, and
So
it's a
thank
holy
you.
cave.
Yeah, it seems like a good spot. Thank you, everybody, and thank you, Dude Missile. Good session all around, everyone, I thought. And if I could, I guess you'll tell us, but should we add any XP to our
five
available?
XP.
Okay, so my
Five.
available XP is now 10. Now we can stop immediately, but can I spend this 10 points to purchase an additional talent by any chance?
You can. So how many tier 1 talents do you have?
The only talent I have so far is hard to kill.
Okay, so the way talents work is talent is 5 times the tier XP. So, but you
Okay.
also have to have, if you notice on the sheet, it sort of builds it like a pyramid. So
Mhm.
you need a higher number of talents in a lower tier to have a talent in a higher tier. So you need 2 tier 1s to have 1 tier 2. You need 2 tier 2s to have 1 tier 3. You need 2 tier 3s to
Oh,
have
I
1
see.
tier
So
4.
Wait,
the problem is I've written my tier in at the top when I should have written it in the bottom. So that makes sense. But the talent thing goes
uh,
all the way down a whole extra page.
Don't worry
So
about the second page. Just worry about the first
okay.
page of
So
talents.
I'm gonna changing hard to kill there. So can I then purchase a second tier 1 talent since I cannot purchase a tier 2 talent until I have at least 2 tier 1 talents?
You could definitely buy a tier 1 talent and then save the other 5 points for after the next game and then buy a
Yeah,
tier 2 talent.
that sounds good. But where can I find the list of, or can you tell
So
me what's available to me, or how does that
so
work?
I'm not gonna read out the talents for you
Mhm.
because there's quite a lot of them.
Mhm.
But the 2 main books for talents are uh the Realms of Terrinoth book and the Core Rule book. So those are where you'll find your talents. If you want an
And
exact page, I can give that to you. So the talents added by Terrinoth start on page 85. Um, and the talents for Genesis start on page 72. Um,
and I'm sorry, Odo. So I'm looking at the Realms of Terrinoth Drive here. I'm looking
yeah,
at what core rules.
you're looking for Core Rules and Realms of Terrinoth.
Okay. Well, here's core rules, and you said page 72. Was that it?
Page 70, or on Realms of Terrinoth, the page is 85. Sorry, wait. Sorry, there's different. Yeah, it's 84 or 85. It should say new
okay,
talents, and
hold
then
on. I understand
Mhm.
that this is very important, but so I saved my sheet with 10 XP. We are resting in the cave, yes?
Yes,
Mhm.
yes. So you can
Yep.
put
Okay.
yourself up
So
to
I'm
full
I'm
and
Yeah.
gonna
everything.
reset my strain and then I'm gonna go have my smoke. I just wanted to
Yeah.
get that out there
Yeah.
before I had
Sure.
to mute myself.
Yeah. We don't need to do this now. I can do this
Yeah.
before the next session or whatever.
If you could just end the recording now, I have one question to ask before the egg base goes, so I can. Uh,
Okay. So yeah. So again, thank you everybody for playing. Thank you for being the dungeon master, and looking forward to playing again in the near future, hopefully. So this and all other episodes can be found on the Temple Mount podcast on YouTube and BitChute. And if you happen to be hearing this on one of those platforms, please join us on the Temple Mount Discord server and come join the game and play with us. It'll be fun. Hopefully, we'll see you here. And thanks again, everybody. Good night. And as always, God bless.